All right, Bob, put your arms down. It is part of a grand plan. Welcome back to the Five. We're talking about the debt and downgrades and where we can go from here. Before the break, we were talking about whether or not Tim Geithner should resign as Secretary of the Treasury. Take a listen to the Q&A with Fox Business News' Peter Barnes just 4 months ago about whether or not Standard & Poor's would ever downgrade the debt of the federal government.
Is there a risk that the United States could lose its AAA credit rating, yes or no?
No risk of that.
No risk.
No risk.
So Standard & Poor's is wrong. The United States will keep its AAA credit rating.
You know, people, absolutely.
No risk, Robert, that the federal government would lose its AAA credit rating from your favorite Treasury Secretary?
Well,
first of all,
who's a victim of a conspiracy?
Well, if there really was not a fraudulent downgrade, but again, I keep this in mind. We keep saying downgrade here when it's based on this one organization doing this. But let me say this. The word has gone out about Geithner, and they're now starting to talk about people who might take his place. Now, our own Mike Huckabee suggested that Donald Trump might be the Secretary of Treasury, which is sort of like putting Colonel Sanders in charge of the chickens. He is in charge of the chickens.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, it means that Colonel Sanders would, I'm sure, take care of the chickens. He wouldn't cut them up and boil them up and stuff like that. I think Donald Trump, what a wonderful thought that is, to have him. And, well, Judge, let it speak for itself. I want you to say Donald Trump is Treasury Secretary.
The point is, a lot of people are talking about why Geithner should leave and who should replace him. How about one of your favorite members of Congress, Paul Ryan? The president would never appoint anybody like that. But there is a brilliant mind.
That job. I think he's got too much work to do in Congress. You know, some of the other names, Trump,
John Corzine?
Forbes, not Corzine. Please, no more Obama.
I happen to agree with you, but they're very good friends.
I mean, this guy almost ruined New Jersey, Corzine, as governor. Forget him. So someone who knows how to handle, spending, not overspending what you have, and how to handle a monetary.
Last I checked,
let me tell you why I think that won't happen. And that is because Secretary Geithner will not resign. They will not have him. They will not force him to go, because the pressure for them to then appoint somebody that is more favorable towards big business, more favorable towards the banks, and someone towards the right would be so great. And I think that the only thing they have left in their toolkit is bashing the banks. I'm telling you, it is coming. This is the next next thing they're going to do, and Geithner will do it.
Can we switch gears just a minute? What do you think, Kimberly Guilfoyle, the federal government can do about this? In addition to the president's sort of lame statement this afternoon, Congress is in recess. The president's about to go to Martha's Vineyard. What can the government do?
Yeah, well, I think he needs to cancel a couple of these golfing vacations, knock it off, no more with the Martha's Vineyard, and show that he's serious about this. I think there was a real abdication of leadership. The fact that he, one, never came up with a plan that was credible to begin with, two, failed to have an adequate response after we were downgraded, and three, we see that the stock market dropped now. If he wants to be serious about getting reelected, he has to come up with a plan that includes spending and dealing with entitlements, or we're going to get downgraded again, Judge, and we're going to join the ranks of Bermuda, which is known as a tax haven for big companies, Slovenia, which has a population of 2 million. We would share the same downgraded rating.
I wouldn't worry about it if I were you. And can I point out, I've sat next to you now on this show, and you've enjoyed it. And I have enjoyed every minute of it. I particularly enjoyed just the camaraderie of the shared philosophical views we have. But I have said this over and over again, and if you would ask John Boehner, he would say the same thing. Obama and Boehner came up with a plan. It was shot down.
You know who came up with a plan? Eric Bolling came up with a plan.
Yes, he did.
And a good number of members of Congress have publicly endorsed it.
Absolutely. Publicly, at least two presidential candidates so far have endorsed it. One of them actually writing on congressional stationery. He agrees with it. Here's the plan. There's about $2 to $3 trillion that are sitting in overseas bank accounts. Those, if that money were to be brought back to the U.S., they'd be taxed at 35% corporate tax rate. Allow a tax holiday to 0%, bring the money back, but 25% of that money, remember these are companies' money, is escrowed and has to be used for hiring U.S. employees and or buying U.S. equipment, plant and equipment, capital investment in companies.
Now, Becca won't like that because
there's
it's
no outlay.
No, wait.
It's not a dime of outlay, and it's only stimulus. And by the way, probably create 500,000 jobs.
This is an historic moment on the 5.
Let's hear it.
Because I actually think this is a good idea. And the reason I think it's a good idea, I think I like the hiring stuff, I like the investment stuff, and I have no faith that these corporations would do the right thing by their own country and bring their money back otherwise. So I think it's a very good idea. But can I just make one point about, you said Ryan, you mentioned Ryan. We really should get this in about what Paul Ryan said.
Want to talk about the super committee?
I want to talk, Ryan was complaining about the super committee. He said not much is going to happen with it. You know why he's saying that? Well, every other
Before
chairman,
you say why he said it, can we listen to what he said?
Yeah, did you just...
If Speaker Boehner comes to you and says, Paul, I want you on that committee, you're Mr. Budget, would you go on?
Yes, I would if he did that.
Do you want to be on it?
Yeah, well, look, I think...
You care about these issues.
I'm not putting all my stock in this committee. I'm not putting my stock in this committee. I just don't want it to... I think people are overemphasizing what this committee is going to achieve. I don't think this committee is going to achieve a full fix to our problems because Democrats have never wanted to put their health care bill on the table.
Beckel.
Is it me or does he look like Alfred E. Newman? I don't know, but listen, the reason he says this is
Why the personal attack?
Right.
It's not a personal attack. I just said I like him to like Alfred E. Newman. Wait a second.
Go for his ideas.
Okay, no, listen. The reason he doesn't like this or downplaying what they can do, like every other chairman of these committees, is the power is going over to the. If they were successful, his budget committee would not be nearly as powerful, and the appropriations committee the same thing. Let's remember, if there's a chance that this committee would do something, they come out with a major rewrite of the entire economic plan for the future, and it is not subject to amendment or filibuster.
Hey, team, we'll get Beckel the last word. The 5 will be right back.
That's a first. That's a first.
Are you happy now?
Hallelujah.